Okay, here we are back with the Lotus 72 build, and what we're going to focus on in this film is chassis setup. So here's your basic Super Formula 70s chassis. The big problem I find is this nose up attitude, which was designed to go around high speed bankings. What we want to try and do is get that down to lower the centre of gravity. The next thing we're also going to concentrate on today is sorting out this rear axle, because you can see the axle bushes aren't holding in place. Simple as that. So we're going to lock wire these into position and polish the axles and attempt to set up the axle tube today for the front wheels. Here's the rear axle stripped down, tyres removed, bearings removed, axle bare, because what we're going to do is polish this in the Dremel with some Jeweler's Rouge. There's the front axle, same kind of treatment. You see I've removed that. We can retain that for spares, but we're not going to use it again in this build. And I've got some lovely new tyres, as supplied by Lee Henderson, available. They were off eBay, I think. I think they were $4.95, something like that. There's a full set of tyres in there. He's also sent me another set of tyres as well, which I'm going to use some of my hubs on, and then that way he'll have a spare set. Would you so to have a spare set of tyres all scrubbed in and ready to go? Okay, polishing the axles next. Okay, what I've simply done is insert the axle into my Dremel. We're using a 332 collet because that's the size of the axle. I'm going to be using a metal polish, a little bit of tissue paper. Put some polish onto the tissue paper to start with. Plenty. There'll be enough there to do 2 axles. Switch on the Dremel. Nice clean axle. Okay, I found the rear axle has got a little bit of scoring damage onto it. Obviously it's been run without any oil. It's really concentric, so I'm actually going to use a very bit of fine wet and dry on this to polish up. That really is as much as it needs. We don't want to fetch too much off the diameter of it because we don't need too sloppy a fit in the bearings. Here's our rear axle now with the polished axle. I've cleaned the bearings in a solvent. I've done the same with the crown wheel. And I've mounted the front wheels on with the new rubber provided by Lee. Why have I done that? Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to true the front tyres using a motor chassis that I've got for that purpose. And we're going to try and make these fronts run a little bit concentric. Okay? I'll explain why I'm doing the fronts first shortly. Okay, the rear axle has been set up with the front tyres on. Okay, I've connected it to my train controller so I can run it at a low speed. If I true the tyres at a high speed, they begin to expand off the hub. They won't true right. So I true them at a moderate low speed. Watch what happens if I put a high speed on. I'm not sure if you can pick that up on the camera. It's a bit small to see. But what actually happens is at full throttle, the tyres expand off the rim. And if you try and true at high speed, it puts a curve on the tyre. Do it at low speed. And we only want to tickle these tyres, getting somewhere close. Done. Okay, I've installed the rears now. I do the fronts first, because once I've trued the fronts up, I put the rears on. And when I put the rears on, I want to leave them on the axle permanently now, so that they stay true. The one thing I've noticed about these tyres is they fit beautifully on these rims. This supplier of tyres really superb, really pleased with them. The compound is also very soft, so we've got to go very easy with the tyre truing here. We don't want the tyre to overheat and we don't want to ruin the tyre, so I'm going to have to tread very carefully. And again, I'm going to go at low revs. You see, I've got a flat surface and my abrasive cloth is on the flat surface, and I can see it working. Now, it's not going so fast that it expands off the rim. Going to back off and have a quick look. Yeah, we can see it's fetching off some high parts. You'll see some of the original dusting powder from the moulding process, which indicates we haven't treated the whole of the tyre yet. What you want is a nice dull finish across the face of the tyre. That indicates you've done it. Every so often, brush away the rubber. I lift off every now and then just to allow the tyre time to sort of cool down a little. It's running well, and there's only about 10-15% of the tyre that's left untreated. Why do I run at low revs? Well, I want my tyres to run true at moderate speeds, because it's at moderate speeds I'll be quartering. Down the long straight, well, it's important to have a tyre that runs true, but it's not as important as having it running true at a moderate speed. That's why I true my tyres at a moderate speed. I'll stop this little section of filming now because this could go on for some time. And here we have our nicely trued up rear axle and front axle. We're going to make an axle tube for this in the next piece, but for the moment let's just check the dimensions on the rear axle. The Heart of England Championship demand that your rear axle be 74mm, so let's just get that lined up. Tricky to film one-handed. It's only perfect. Okay, and already pre-measured this actually, and this is central, equal about. Okay. The next stage is I'm taking a measurement between the inner sides of the rims here to manufacture an axle tube that will run in between there. There's a measurement, 45.03. We'll just make it 45 wide. Okay, so I need to take this now and cut a piece off with a cutting disc. It's aluminium alloy tube and it's 1/8 of an inch diameter. The perfect thing about that is the internal diameter is 332, which is exactly the size of the axle, so it runs perfectly. Okay, cut that now. Okay, I'll set my caliper to just short of 45 and then use the sharp points here to scribe a line round so I know where to cut here. Okay, safety first. Safety glasses. It's not negotiable. You wear them. There's nothing as tragic as a one-eyed slot racer. Okay, here we go. There's a Dremel with my cutting disc in. You can see my scribe line. And all I'm doing is rotating it round. Done. Set it on the floor. There's the axle tube cut to length now. Okay? We're going to set it on the axle and install the other wheel. That's the kind of free running we want. Okay, there's the axle tube created. The next job is to lower this front end, and can you see the way that boss protrudes there? We're going to machine that all the way back level with the chassis, and what that will do is it'll lower the front ride height by about 2 millimeters. It might not seem a lot, but it's significant. Well, I found it to be anyway. Okay, here we go. Put the side cutter back in the Dremel. Quickly bob this off. We're done. All I'm going to do now, get some wet and dry, flat it off. Nice. That's done. That's as much as you need to do. Okay, so we now take a brand new long stem guide and we're going to insert it into the hole. But now, because we've machined some off the bottom, the guide will be sloppy. We don't want that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to machine some off the top, and I'm going to fit a retaining ring to hold the guide in place. I'm also going to machine away some of the plastic here and here to give the wires a freer run at the guide. I'll show you after I've done it. Okay, so now you can see the way I've machined away the top. I've left a small web of plastic in there between the front of the chassis and the guide boss, just to give it a little bit of strength. But once I put the guide in, you'll see there's a lot more freer access for the wires. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to retain that guide up. Ordinary car washer bottle hose. Cut a small disc like a washer size and insert it over the top of the guide. And what that does is it removes all the slop, doesn't come out, and it holds tight and keeps your ride height low. You see how it works? It also gives you the flexibility later on to fit like a slotted wooden guide with a screw. What we're going to be working on now is installing the axle tube in the upper body. This is where the axle ran originally, and we're going to have to open out these lugs here with a Dremel so that it will better accept the larger diameter of the axle tube. Now you can see that's not sitting low enough. That's why we're going to have to open it out a little. I'll do that with a Dremel and you'll see what it looks like shortly. Okay, I've opened out the lugs now so that the axle tube will fit in with a little bit of slop, but it sits much further and deeper into the body shell. Okay, here's a quick reassemble and you'll see how much lower the car is sitting now. It hasn't got that nose up attitude. I mean, the moulding has got a slight nose up attitude, but much lower down. Now, I'll show you how to set the axle tube. The next thing I'm going to do is put some hot glue here and here to hold the axle in place, and then reassemble the whole car so the geometry is right. Now the axle will be all over the place, hot glued into place, but I've a simple trick that actually sets the ride height just nice on them. I'll show you that in a minute. As you can see, I've applied some hot glue around the axle in the axle locations. You can see the axle's all over the place at the moment, but don't worry about that. One of the beauties about the hot glue is we're going to reset it in situ with the car fully assembled. I'll show you my little trick. Here comes the tricky part. You can see the car's been completely reassembled with the guide with new braids put into position. That's the new guide that we installed earlier on. See the front axle's all over the place, and if I put it on the proving block you'll see it's completely wrong. Right, here comes a clever bit. So turn it over and expose the front axle. Now what I'm going to do is heat the front axle with a hot soldering iron. That will melt the glue, make it malleable. And if I have to drop the phone at any point, it's because you have to work fairly quick when you do this. Because what I'm going to do, heat up that front axle. As soon as that front axle's hot, the glue will melt. And what I'm going to do is put it on the proving block, square it up. Okay, so if I have to drop the phone, bear with me. Okay, we'll try that. Yeah, I've got to get it hotter. I did have to drop the camera in the end because I think the ambient temperature in the garage is so cold tonight that it was making it very difficult to melt the glue in situ. But by heating up the axle tube here and here, I was able to lower the front, and you can see it's just touching now. And you see there's a little bit of gap when I haven't got the pressure on it. That's just perfect. If I put the pressure on, the wheels turn. If I take the pressure off, wheels don't turn. That's just about the right amount of clearance. And what it will do, as the car corners now, is it will hold it stable. Because as this wheel tries to lift, it's got this one stabilising here. As this wheel tries to lift, it's got this wheel stabilising it. Quite pleased with that. And also you can see it just sits lower and looks more Lotus 72-ish. That's essentially all the tuning mods done. Tomorrow night now, we're going to concentrate on beautification, making it look nice, and final reassembly. That's all, folks. Tune in tomorrow.